start a local recording just in case everything goes to hell. I'm going to upload a local recording later. How about that? I wish I had thought of that 10 minutes ago.
Not a bad idea. The other thing, Dave, I don't know if this is going to screw up your workflow there or not, but if you're able to share your screen, the trouble that Chuck and I have is we can't see because we're about 10, 15 seconds behind.
Okay.
We're not seeing it on Skype. We can see it on YouTube.
Yeah,
and
let me go to
live
Skype.
Just fine.
Yeah, let me go to Skype and turn my...
Otherwise, if you make a typo, we're just going to be behind.
That's true. Let me...
We can make fun of you, but we can't help you.
And let me go ahead and do Skype screen share for you guys, which I did not think about that. And where is the option to screen share for you? Are you seeing...
I see you. I see you and Josh.
Yeah, just right-click on the call on the left-hand nav there.
Okay.
And then you can share from there.
Okay, share screen. And I will share... screen.
There we go.
You guys should get the same screen everybody else is getting now.
Perfect.
That's looking better.
Okay,
looks
great.
Good.
Okay. And I'll even zoom it up a little bit so people can see it a little better. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. So now what I'm really thinking hard about doing is specifying, somehow or another, specifying for every airport that I have in my system what the time zone is in that airport. So that when I get a time, I know that there's a time from an airport. I know what its time zone is, and then basically instantiating it via Moment, converting that to UTC, and then saving it to the database that way. So basically, the strategy would be always convert basically only on ingress of the data, right? On initial ingestion of the data, convert it from local to UTC. It's UTC everywhere else up until final display. I mean, that's kind of, in life, that's how I like to do these things anyway. Certainly at the job that I had prior to this one, we had the most bizarre mishmash of date handling that we were, you could always tell, so most of the work and a lot of our customers lived in East Coast of the USA. So when you started seeing 4 or 5 hour discrepancies in the time, you knew what was happening, right? And it's like, oh no, not this again. And so it was like hunting down the bubble in the carpet, right? You'd push it and it would go somewhere else. So I like that to be the design philosophy of consistent handling of the date and the time zone at the same point, and you never do anything different. So now the problem becomes, okay, if we assume that we're going to use Moment and then Moment is going to handle it, we've got some design considerations. So at the airport level, it was easy enough. In fact, I think I just have a string field that I defined there for the time zone. So this could very easily, I could change this from a string to a choice list. So in Moment, let me go ahead and I'm actually going to, click through to the where to get it. Let me see if I can even... Moment time zone, like Moment time zone data, I think is the thing you need. It's a little more involved. Like if you do it with NPM or something like that, it's going to handle all the dependencies for you. I think if you do it, I just saw this a minute ago, that if you're doing it yourself, Moment.js. If you're doing it yourself, you need, I think, Moment, and you need Moment time zones with data, I think are the two. Where was the page where I saw that? Let me go back through my history, because I had this up at some point.
Yeah, and I think I remember seeing that because time zones are going to be changing over time. I don't know if there's any programmatic way to always know what all of those time zone changes are.
Yeah, I think maybe... So this guy right here. So let's go ahead and let's just look at this thing. This Moment time zone... And I don't, right now I don't need all years, but it is worth a consideration that if I do this, so let me go ahead and I'm just going to search for New York in here. New York, or new. New is probably a bad thing. Let's say...
maybe NYC.
Instantiating Atlanta. A New York object.
Or Atlantic. Okay, there you go. So this is, if we go down here, this is the data, this is the titular data of the time zone with data, right? So... we've got this data structure of thing, code, and then this is, I'm assuming that this is the offset from GMT. So let's find something that I know. So America, Phoenix. What? Where do you see that? I don't see it.
I don't know. I was hoping there'd be one because we don't change time zones. I thought it'd make it easy.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there's new underscore York.
There, America Phoenix.
Oh, new underscore York. Okay, that was my problem.
MST, 7 hours behind.
Okay. Yeah, so EST, EDT, and so
5.0 hours behind is how I read that.
Right. So this has got to be like tenths of hours. Let's go ahead and let's find Hyderabad if we can, because I know that that's like shifted off, or Bangalore. Might be Banga.
30 minutes.
I'm trying to find some Indian data.
Yeah, maybe
Delhi, Asia.
I hate time zones.
Dhaka, Dubai is.
Yep. When I'm emperor of the world, there's going to be one time zone, and you just say what time you get up and go to sleep. I don't think
the reason I'm looking for this is because I know for a fact that like Hyderabad is a half time zone. So let's see.
By the way, we just had somebody report that they lost live coding happy hour stream. How are things looking on your side?
On YouTube is spinning too.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop and start.
All right. Yeah, it looks like all over the place, actually.
All right.
And it looks like we should be back. Yep. At least on the live coding side, we are.
Why do I not see any India? That actually, they're Indian. That's not India. That's the Indian Ocean.
YouTube is behind. It's just now searching for New York.
Okay. Well, it'll catch us eventually. All right. So the whole main thing I was doing was like trying to find something that I knew was a half, like a 30-minute shift in here. But so this, I think this gives us, we kind of understand what's in here. Now the idea being that somewhere in here we can leverage this. Like these are basically the available time zone. Like somehow or another we could get this data and populate something with it. So I'm thinking in terms of do we want to, and this is, you guys can help me out with this. This is completely blue sky because I really have only thought about this for a little bit, which is it would be much better if all this was supported in the platform. It would be preferable if I could just go into the flight, and if I have one of these things and I'm doing the time and I'm popping up my time picker, it would be so much preferable if down over here I had a drop down for the time zone, right? Now, as I was thinking about that, I realized this thing right here is a UI macro. That could exist, right? Follow me on that?
So a macro on the
UI, the date time picker is a UI macro in the ServiceNow system.
Right.
So it could be possible to hack this thing, to put a drop down here or somewhere in here that is in fact is the time zone drop down. So we could actually make it part of the time date picker. Now
that could be interesting.
The thing about that though is, remember what I was saying before about that whole notion of the multiple shifting, multiple offsetting problem. The problem with that is if we go into our basic tables and we look at our date time, I don't believe that we have available to us oops, I want to do label. If we look at that, I don't believe that the underlying is it daytime? Why am I not finding this, guys? You know what? It's not even a table. It's just a type in the system. But I think our type we're going to have a problem with our type because it by itself does not contain the time zone, I don't believe.
I don't think it does, but I think I know where it is. I think there is on the user table, it's a choice list. So I think these things all live in
so the list of time zones exists. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I think they should match too, because they should be following that standard format that we see over in Moment. So you know how when you create a choice list and you can set it up to look at a different choice list, I think we can actually reuse what's there.
Okay. Do you know what the table is? So you're saying...
Yeah, so if you just go out to the syschoice table and then look for, let me see what it's called. I just lost it. Yeah, so go to syschoice and look for element equals time zone, time_zone.
Time_zone.
And these are all coming off the sysuser table.
Good. I don't even need. So this is like when you do the UI preference. This is where this is what's feeding that.
Yep. And so what I think you could probably do is you could put, I mean, this would be an extra field on your table, but in theory you could put a field on your table that references the existing choice list. Yep, exactly.
Okay. So we could, let's go ahead and look at doing that. So time_zone choice list. So you're saying on my airport, let's go ahead and actually let me open Studio. For those of you who have never seen any of this before. And it looks like we might still be hung up. Like the video might be way behind.
Looks to be
because
a
I
mess.
see. Yeah. All right.
YouTube works for about 10 seconds if you refresh the screen, and then it just kind of poops out.
We may have to do this with Wirecast. You might be on the hook next time, Chuck. Wirecast may work better than OBS. Doing this with OBS. So okay. So let me look at my flight. And so like the flight table that I have now, we've got like time zone is just this I don't even know where. Oh, not flight. I'm sorry. I'm looking at airport. Looking in the wrong place here. So the airport, I've just got time zone as this raw string. And I wasn't even sure what you see. It's called time zone offset. It's kind of a mess. So what you're saying is add.
I think you can change that actually. I think you can change that to a choice and
Let's just call it time zone. And let's. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to.
YouTube seems to be up and back up to date. Well, like the 7-second up to date.
Great. Choice. And then I'm going to, over here, I'm going to pick it, right?
So now I think you have to do more than that. So this is not going to be a reference
qualifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to have to go into the actual dictionary record. So I would save this and then actually click on the time zone field to open the dictionary record.
All right, let's do that. Let's reload the form over here. Actually, let's just click a form. So now time zone is this thing. So we go over here. We configure the dictionary.
Go to advanced view. Just click UI action. UI action.
Yeah. Or down under
link.
related links.
Sorry.
Down at the bottom.
Oh, gotcha.
You get more.
And now
in the reference specification section, which is interesting.
Choice list, choice table. Do choice table. And choose user.
User.
No, it'd be choice. Sys choice, wasn't it?
I think you can do.
Oh, you're going to reference the field from the other table?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how that works. It's been a while since I've set one of these up.
Yes, I do this all the time. You can cheat and
user?
steal the choices from one table.
Yep.
And then the choice field will be time zone.
Yeah, exactly.
So anytime someone updates choices on that list, this gets automatically updated.
All right.
It's called
So
a
let's
reference choice list.
All right, let's do that. Now we go back here and look at that.
Boom. Beautiful.
So this is one of the things I notice. So this is kind of rudimentary.
Now it's worth noting that a lot of the choices are turned off by default. So you do have to go into that choice list and enable them Basically, you have to enable the ones that you want.
All right. So
otherwise, it's going to be really long list.
Okay. So this
put them
does
in the order you want to.
So this does actually present a conundrum, because if this is a scoped app, and if I want to be able to give it to people as a scoped app, do I want to have a requirement on this global choice list that they change the configuration of that, which is also going to show up for everyone, right?
Of what?
So
the choices in that list?
Yes. So
Yeah.
if I go and ask them to turn on extra choices, they're going to show up in here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because
they are.
because I'm reusing this for this.
That is a really good point.
That is the design consideration that's actually a little bit of a bummer of this. So this definitely has ease of use. However,
right.
like as we see, I don't have I have very limited
right.
Asian,
you don't have everything you need.
Right. I don't have the one that I need next week or next month.
Right.
Much less
and
a
do
lot
you
of
want
other
there
ones.
to be any given flight? You just never know. I think it would almost make more sense for this application to ship it with a table and populate that table. Just pull it in from somewhere.
So now the other question becomes, so back to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
If we've got Moment, built into the system, so we create script includes. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head whether I want a script include or a UI script. I guess
Script include
because I want to be doing it back end, and I may want to expose some functionality on the front end. But so somehow or another, out of Moment, somewhere in the Moment API, let's look at the docs and see if there's something like a get every time zone I know type thing.
That'd be interesting. I also, depending on where that goes, there's got to be a spreadsheet or something on the internet you can just download.
Yeah, I'm sure
all
that
time
there
zones
is.
ever known.
I'm sure there is, but what I'd really like to do is I'd like to not do that. I like that to be, if I'm using Moment, actually like that to be managed by Moment. So that's actually my dream of this whole thing, is that we get it out of here, and then somehow or another use it. Now it may also be, as you saw before, it may be too unwieldy. There may be too much stuff in there. We may not want 500 time zones.
Yeah, right.
So checking zone existence. Blah, blah, blah. You can check if a zone is loaded. Oh, there you go, right there. Time zone.
So TZ done
TZ
names.
names. So let us go ahead. I'm itchy to actually do some stuff. So let's.
That looks like it gets names. If you look at the usage under that, it gets names, but it doesn't get your offsets. It just says
that's
US.
Yeah, I don't need that
America
right now. I don't need that
Oh, okay,
at the beginning.
okay.
Because
code
right
can
now,
handle it later.
I'm looking to drive like a choice list type thing.
Okay.
So like in the actual usage of this guy, if I have the name, and so I've got that, say I've got the choice list populated, and ideally I've got it kind of populated dynamically, then I could come up here and instantiate something and use that value that I've got. So I could pass that to the API.
Also, it looks like we've lost our stream again, so
Yeah,
we definitely have
Yep.
some hiccups.
Yep. Sad faces on YouTube.
All right, I will have to keep doing this. Let me actually I'm going to take 1 second. You guys talk and cover me while I do this. I'm going to check one streaming option that I have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. What I'm really curious about is when we try to load Moment.js into a script include, what it's going to do. And there was actually discussion on the Slack channel earlier about Moment in particular, because somebody else was working on time zones. I think, I forget who it was that was mentioning that. So it's nice timing that we had actually been planning on talking about Moment today, and they were just chatting about it over in Slack today. But depending on what we find, that's where we're going to maybe dust off some interesting techniques to transform it into a library that is ServiceNow compatible, which we'll, I guess, cross that bridge when we come to it.
Isn't that one of your potential talks at CreatorCon, Josh?
It is not a potential talk. It is a definite talk.
All right.
Even better.
I'm
So-
on the hook for it.
All right, so I'm just going to go crazy. So let us begin like just trying some stuff. May not work. We want Moment time zone, and I think Moment time zone, so I need Moment time zone with the data. So we need this thing. I'm just going to get the link to that. Or actually, I want the thing. So I guess it makes sense to put it in 2 script includes, right? So let's come over here to my studio. I'm going to create a script include. I'll just call it the exact name.
Just Moment.timezone.
Yeah. So let there be no confusion about this joker. I'm put all of the thing in here. So for those new to the platform, this is something that you can do. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of all that stuff. And get rid of the boilerplate. It will give me some errors because it's basically going to not conform to the format that it's expecting. But you can bring in third-party libraries in ServiceNow, and this will work. Accessible from this scope only. Yeah, let's not. For right now, I'm going to make it that way because I don't want. Yeah, we'll do none of this matters that much. Then I also I believe that does not provide Moment itself. So I need to go back and also have Moment, the core Moment library as well.
Got it. Now, depending on what happens here, we might want you. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see what's going to happen when you try to use that name.
Moment.js?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. I have actually no idea. So.
Well, you're going to get a new API name because you're in a scoped app.
All right. I was actually surprised that Moment Timezone didn't complain on submit, because I thought it was going to complain for not matching the
and a lot of libraries do. It looks like they're doing pretty well vanilla stuff. Also, sorry to keep going back to this, but it looks like we're back to problems on both live coding and YouTube.
We've lost our audience.
Yeah.
All right. Well, c'est la vie. Like I say, I got the local copy that I can publish later.
We're going to augment. It's almost live coding.
Live to tape. All right. So let's go ahead, and now I'm going to, over in this guy, let's do a
script background
test. Go ahead and leave that. So now the question is, our Moment, and I have to go back to the same. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to have to instantiate in a way that these guys aren't. Right?
Right.
Unless it has a self-instantiation. So these guys, I think it has some kind of self-instantiation because.
Well, you still need to instantiate it.
I need to. I'm saying these guys. There may be something in that if you load it, it may be instantiating itself and making this Moment singleton.
Okay.
But I'm still gonna have to do.
Yeah.
I think you need a GS include, and that will bring it all in.
Include.
Shouldn't need GS include anymore with script includes.
Usually that's true, but I think it's just because of the.
I think you're missing a quote in that first line, dude.
All right. And I'm trying to start the stream again. It's very much like Mad at Dad, where we have to kick the stream every so often. So at this point, I think it's actually Restream's problem, not anybody else's problem, because I see Restream actually hanging up.
Oh, interesting. Too weird.
Because Restream's the only thing I'm looking at. And then over here, make sure that... Oh, you know what? And in fact, I'm using the wrong thing because I'm not using the fully qualified API name.
Right.
So we'll come over here.
As long as you're doing your scope, though, you shouldn't need it.
Okay.
But there was more to it. See how it's got that?
Yeah, the whole thing.
With state and date thing?
That makes sense.
Well, these are two different libraries. Moment.js and this.
Okay.
These are two. So you're saying, okay, well, let's just try it. Let's just try it like that.
You shouldn't need this scope in the same scope.
All right. And let's just try this. Will this work?
Roll.
You're just going to do there you go. I want to make the font just a wee bit bigger too. Right there. That's very legible, but your
Okay.
ServiceNow screen's a bit tiny.
Having the issues with the selected.
We are copy and paste challenge today.
I think there's actually some JavaScript on this page.
Like, you can't copy that.
All right.
That's copyright infringement.
I'm not kidding. That is messing with my... All right. Moment.format.
Just do DDDDD. Get the Friday out of there.
Yeah, there you go.
Take the second line. It's easier to type manually.
Moment. Dot. Format.
Format.
Dot. What the heck is
I
don't think
it was
the
just
first one
format.
was a
This is the
method.
parameter to format. Okay.
Oh, it is a method.
Yep.
Wow,
just
missed that.
DDDD.
4 Ds.
And that's it.
One more close. Yeah.
All right. Will it work?
Roll.
Are we taking
Here we
bets?
go.
Are we taking bets on it working?
It's gonna work.
I think it'll work.
Oh,
Look at that.
Ho ho ho.
So cross-scope
Take a
privilege.
drink.
It's cross-scope privilege added because travel tracker to travel tracker.
Hey, Josh, you're going to have a short session if that's all it is. Copy, paste, run.
So
It's
now-
not, believe me.
So now let's get a little bit wackier and just...
Get the time zone. Do that.
Yeah, let's
do that.
create... Let's create something in... so let's just... Let me see one of their examples.
Something in Sydney
moment.
and pull it out in the U.S.
Let's do a moment. Let's create now in Pacific, or not even Pacific. Let's create. So what's your time zone, Chuck?
Me? I'm Arizona. I'm MST.
But what's like? Do
3K.
you know the fully thing? The America is it America/Phoenix?
It's
That's what
America/Phoenix.
var now Phoenix equals moment. How do you... There was a thing where I saw them creating one. Format
Just the
days.
time zone.
Creating like a now, but with the time zone. That may be... Let me look over in the docs here. And it was very early in... Okay, this thing right here. Moment.tz. Okay. TZ, but that's a specific thing. How do I create a now? Maybe I have to... Is there a way to
Is
do
there
it
a
now?
moment.now or something like that?
This would be great. This would really be awesome if our autocompleter like pulled this in, evaled it, and then knew what was available on Moment.
That would be cool.
It would be.
Let's see. So I need. This is where I need the Moment doc on what APIs I have available. And this...
It's probably something really easy, like just call moment with nothing. But
moment seconds, moment
seconds, minute. Those are getters.
day of week. Hey, I know. Let's search on now.
Get set.
Time from now. Moment dot from now. All right, here we go.
Okay, interesting.
Let's try. Dot tz. I'm going for the principle of least surprise. America, Phoenix. All right.
And debug that thing. We will see. And we might have to do our kick the stream again.
All right. All right. So restarted that. Let me go ahead and do this. Run script in scope. Cannot find function tz. Now the moment dot from now. So tz Gesundheit. So tz is an function of moment. It's probably not from whatever this thing has returned.
So maybe do a moment.tz and then
Pass
put
it moment
inside
from,
of that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's do it that way. So I think that's what you're... Yeah. So moment... Copy this. Copy that. Now let me erase this. So what you're saying is that, and then parameter 1 is this.
You know what? And I'm looking a little more at the docs, and it looks like what you maybe want there is not from now, but value of, because from now is something else for getting like future stuff. So basically, calling moment is now, and then value of is giving the value of that.
Okay.
Oh, it's kind of like a get value thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do my parentheses look? That looks all right. I'm gonna go for it.
Cool.
All right. Let me try one more thing. Try the stream again.
It looks like on the live coding side, we are roughly in the right place.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm seeing it.
YouTube's
It's actually
behind.
telling me that it's offline on Restream.
Oh, weird.
I think Restream. Let me refresh Restream for 1 second before I do this. See if that thing is just telling me, if it's just lying to me. Oh, Restream may have just been lying to me. Okay. So let's go ahead and run the script. See how we look.
Run script run.
Cannot find function 2 lowercase in object bloody bloody blah.
To lowercase. What?
That's your value of. So let's go back and just try now before we do, or
from now.
now.
That's fair.
Let's try that before we do anything else, just to see if
Sort
that
of like
runs.
a days ago 0 in ServiceNow.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Is it 213
Oh,
out there,
wait
Chuck?
a minute. It's not 215. It's 3. It's 313. It's 1513.
Are
That's
you
saying
GMT minus 8?
No, we're
You're-
always GMT minus 7.
Okay. Well,
So something about the time zone is
so let's try a different.
Moment has a UTC method, so you could do moment.utc, maybe. Dot
Let's
from
try
now.
that. So this should be 213.
that should be 213. 1413. Okay, that works.
And let's go ahead and try.
New York.
Let's try Denver. I'm working my way across the country.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Denver will be 7. Uh-oh, it's stuck. Denver is clearly not on the same time zone. as
Now let's
Los
try something
Angeles.
that's clearly something different. So let's try new dash
Chicago,
York.
New York,
We can
new
do
underscore
Chicago.
New York.
Let's do Chicago. Let's
Chicago-
do things with
Chicago
one-word
should-
names because then I don't need an underscore.
That it
So
should
it's
be
telling me the same
1614.
thing every time. Why
Hey, I'm emperor of the world. Everybody's on the same time zone.
Your wish has come true.
Yay! It just happens to be California time.
So here is the deal: is that I think
So maybe
actually,
we're not
I
calling
think
the TZ right.
well, I think the deal is, I think actually when we're doing the from now, this is irrelevant because this is going to be setting it up. What we're actually, I think we're fighting the wrong battle here because I think that we're worried about something that's not actually a problem right now because no matter what we do there, it's going to ingest to the same place. So we're on the assumption that we needed to, because we're doing the from now. So let's do something different. We're going to get rid of the from now. And let's change it to, I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to run it one more time just so I can get the string. And I don't want to use, so I'm specifically not going to give it the GMT specifier. So I'm going to give it this hard-coded string. I think this is where it's going to come in because the from now is already going to be taking that into account, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So I'm saying 2:15 in Chicago time. So let's just call this now. This now Phoenix is going to bug me when we're.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? Is that we were actually doing the very thing I was talking about, which is so at this point, 2:15.
Okay. That's GMT minus 8 still?
There's one more issue, and that is that if you look at, so back of the docs, they're not actually calling moment. They're saying moment.tz without calling it. And I think that's what's going on.
Moment.
So I think it's a weird library in the way this is set up. I mean, it's
All right, let's do a little-
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Aha.
Oh.
That is more like what I expect. So 2:15 GMT.
Is, what was it, 6:15
Right.
Chicago?
So
No,
right.
it's not 8 hours difference. It would have been 8:15. What was the answer?
the
Can't remember the output.
so 6
8:15.
hours.
That's
6
right.
hours different.
That's
That is
right.
right.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back and now let's do Phoenix again. And we wanted to. Phoenix should be the same as Chicago, right?
No, 1 hour behind Chicago.
1 hour behind Chicago. So it should be the same as Denver.
Should be 7:15.
Okay.
Hey! That's
All right.
worthy of applause and a drink.
All right. So that was the problem, is that I was calling Moment. Essentially, I was calling Moment, and then I was calling TZ. So TZ was not acting on the right thing, I think.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So now, given this, where are we at now? So now, given this string, I feel comfortable. So the ultimate thing is I want to be able to say, okay, I've got a new flight. The flight's coming in at, I've got the flight. It's Friday 17th at, 1700. And it's leaving from Phoenix. So if I instantiate that, then I've got this. Now I'm pretty comfortable.
What this allows you to do, Dave, is store everything in UTC and use a get value from your date object to always get a UTC time, and then append and use moment to get the time for wherever that airport is.
Right. So I have an inbound email action, right, and or that's calling a script include, and in that I'm parsing the text of the that concur, and let's say that I've gotten it and it is correctly correctly operating.
You got one extra curly brace in there or something, or a parentheses after the 1700.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got a smiley face.
Oh, yeah.
I think you turned that into a 0 or something. And then there's like...
TZ... I don't know what I did there. All right, I think that is right.
I think you need the seconds on there.
Oh.
Colon 00 to be a...
Okay.
Yeah, it has to do with the format.
All right. All right, give me 1 second. Let's start the stream again.
From a parsing standpoint, I hate that date format.
All right, so that's exactly what we expect. Is that if we no, that's not what we expect. We're saying that's not what we expect, because if we've got a 1700, if the thing says it's 1700 and it's in Phoenix.
If it's in UTC.
Flight leaves at 1700 in Phoenix. We want it to be midnight UTC.
Yeah.
And that's not what it did right there. In fact, it did the...
No, that's not how I'm reading that. I'm reading that as 1700 UTC, which is why I said you could always use your start date time stored internally in ServiceNow. It's always going to be stored as UTC. So you use a get value to pull that value out and then append the time zone of wherever the airport is. Use moment.tz with a raw value, not a get display value, but a get value to get the UTC value out of your date time object, and then use the time zone of the airport. And it'll go, hey, this is where you are. This is when it is. This is what's happening.
Now, the problem being, so this is I think can be fixed with a little time with the docs. So this is, but the thing you're saying, Chuck, is what I'm going to get is I'm going to get a number that I know is already in local time, and I need to get it from local time to UTC. So you're saying store it in UTC, and my very first problem is getting it from local time to UTC.
Ah, okay. So you're telling Travel Tracker.
Correct.
It's your plane's gonna land in Denver at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. What time is that?
What time is that? So we need a method here to turn it back into UTC.
I need to get a local time to UTC, and
we know how to get it out of UTC into whatever the local time is.
Correct. So I think this is probably a problem that will be that a little reading of the docs will solve.
Yep.
So. From the outer level, Moment was surprisingly easy to bring in as script includes. Right? I did not expect it to be that simple.
I did not either.
Usually, you expect to at least see some errors, and you expect the thing to complain. It's not uncommon that in ServiceNow world that you're going to get a little pop up that says this is misformatted. Do you want to save it anyway? Which is, I believe, one of our recommendations when you're pulling in a third-party library to be prepared to do that. Right? I think we have that in our docs even.
Yeah, it's definitely on the client side. On the server side, it's usually a little weirder because some of those things, I think the server side validations are a bit different than those UI scripts, but they're very similar issues. And then the other thing I've seen in a number of cases is these external libraries will have things in them like the word final, which is a reserved keyword in ServiceNow or in Rhino.
Right.
And so then you have to go and deal with that. But
right. If you notice
this was nice.
Yeah, if we pull up a new one of these, you'll notice it begins with some boilerplate. Or it should. Where's my boilerplate? Oh, because I haven't.
You didn't give it a name yet.
Boiler. And then when it comes down here, you notice. So this is like ServiceNow, like standard stuff. Is that it's going to, it's going to try to create some stuff for you. But we're going around all that. We're basically getting rid of that. We're just saying we're going to just instantiate this as is. And then see where it leads. So Moment is surprisingly easy to bring in. So now it's really a question of kind of finding our way around the because these are kind of doing the opposite of what we thought was going to happen. So I thought that I was over here defining this, and then if I gave it a time zone, I'm saying this is 1700 in this time zone. I thought that that's what the TZ was. But in fact, what that's saying is apply that time zone to 1700.
Yes.
So let us see. Let me just take a second and look in Moment time zones APIs to see if we can see really quickly an API that tells us to do the other way. Using
Every time someone says "let us see," I think of a college compiler that I used to use.
So we've got these format. So format just, these are ingestion things. Moment TZ takes that and applies a time zone. One of the things that is nice is this knows time zones or daylight savings times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I like this as it shows you like creating one in DST, PST versus PDT.
Very nice.
And it automatically handles that for you. That right there, my friends.
Worth its weight.
That is worth the price of admission of time zone. Moment time zone. How many times have you farted around with that in your lifetime?
And not everybody changes at the same time of year, which I think was in that big object that array we were looking at
somewhere in that giant splat of data is some of that information is encoded in there, like what the date is of their change. So the main reason why in general you ever want to use these third-party libraries is think of all the mind share and all the work that has gone into that thing up to this point, and then think about your effort in reproducing even a small part of that.
Yeah, that's like when Craig finally told me to start using WordPress instead of trying to write my own blog software.
Exactly. And that is, it is kind of our nature. I've been in organizations that just assume that anything they write is better than anything anyone else wrote. So it's like, oh yeah, well let's just write our own app server. It's like, guys, I think actually maybe the WebLogic guys are ahead of you on this. You know what I mean?
I wrote my own ticketing system until I found out ServiceNow was out there, then threw mine out the window. 14 years.
So, somewhere in here, and I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to spend a little time with this. Oh, by default, moment objects are created in the local time zone. So TZ set default. Let me do this right quick.
Oh.
I don't necessarily. I don't want to set. I mean, I guess I could.
What do you mean by local time zone?
Or creating in the local time zone. So this would be, like
probably
in the
pulling out from your browser.
When you instantiate, does it have? Does it have a time zone associated with it?
Well, let's do this. Check this out. Let's do this.
Yes. Favorite method name.
Now the question is, what's it guessing based off of? That's pretty interesting.
What do you think it's going to be? So it could be Eastern if it's getting it off my browser. It could be Pacific if it's getting it off the instance. I'm going to say Pacific.
Yeah, I think Pacific as well.
Because I think it's going to be getting it out of the Rhino execution engine.
I'll go for UTC.
All right.
Oh, Pacific it is.
Pacific. Yeah, because I mean when it's saying your local, in this case, this is actually what I was talking about at the very beginning when I talked about the mess of time zones that we have, is that local does not mean what you think local means, right? You think local means your browser, but local means the instance. And by the way, my friends, you might have, I don't know what happens actually if you have nodes that span time zones. Is it node dependent on what your local, I'm doing air quotes that you can't see, your local time zone, is it going to change depending on the app node you hit?
Do we have app nodes in different time zones?
Do you have, we might in Europe? I don't know. It may not be possible. I don't know if we ever have a place where your DR node would be in a different time zone. But it doesn't seem theoretically impossible. But it may not.
Oh, DR maybe. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about DR. I was just thinking about the data center in general when we provision multiple nodes.
Right, because for people not aware of that, you get a logical instance, but underneath the hood, there's a bunch of potentially different nodes running in potentially different data centers, and
right.
So this may be dependent on other factors. So this is why we're trying to take this. So now that we know that this local time zone is in fact where the instance is, that gives us even more incentive to take that off the table, because we don't want that, right? We don't ever want that, because if we give this to anybody, we don't want their time. The time zone their instance sits in is irrelevant to everything that we're doing.
Pretty much.
Okay. So I think at this point we're kind of done, and we certainly have had streaming problems, more problems than I want.
We need to read.
Yeah. So this is me and the API now. It's between me and my friend Moment.js.com's API. But what the main thing that this experiment tells me is that what I want exists here. At this point, I have full confidence, and it's way easy to bring in, and it's going to be reasonably easy to use once I know what I'm doing. Once I know the right API to call and doing it in the right direction, I think it's going to be all right. And I may even be looking at it over here in these data formats and somewhere in here. I'm convinced that the APIs I need exist, and it's just a matter of making sure that I know them. So I feel extremely good about this, actually.
Yeah, well, just the fact that we were successfully able to get Moment.js into the platform, it's working. That is a huge win, and so that's the only thing we accomplished today. I think it's good.
So now the question is, so I've got to go way back to the very beginning. Let me just get a third window here. I've got a UI issue, right, where I went and I used that sys choice list, which is not what we really want to do long term.
No.
So somehow or another, I've got to be able to generate my own list of time zones out of either seeding it for the first time or somehow dynamically or something. So I'm going to use Moment somehow or another. Moment needs to drive this guy. Mm-hmm. And I like this definition. I like the idea of having the airport. The airport has a time zone specified. And you specify it logically, right? So you're not specifying, like over here, you're not specifying GMT minus 9. You're specifying America, Los Angeles. And then when the time zone changes, it'll just change with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like all that. So now it's a question of where do I get the data from? What do I put it in? Do I generate my own custom, do I fart around with the date time picker like I was saying before? Do I just do it here and then never expose that again? So that the idea is that you're looking at UTC. I don't know. So I still have research to do and decisions to make.
Yeah, it could even be a fixed script that pulls it out of your API and throws it into a table that you can then reference here. It might even be a read-only field. We have to think about how we want to invest that information and present that information.
Right. But yeah.
There is a website called TimezoneDB.com, and they distribute it under a Creative Commons license, and they have an API. So that's also a possibility.
I'm always asking Google, what time is it in Sydney, Australia? And it'll tell me.
So, for example, there could be like a scheduled job. Once a month, refresh from TimezoneDB. I actually kind of like that better than anything that might be dynamic, because who wants to pay that cost of rebuilding that over and over? So I kind of like the idea of an integration that that populates a table based on that thing. That would actually be pretty great.
Plus, it'd be fun to show people the process of building it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I think we're going to call it there. I'm going to get rid of that.
Kick that stream one more time so we can maybe be live for the last couple of minutes.
Time of death.
Right.
UTC.
So we've definitely got more. Work that has to happen in streaming world. If you guys want to turn let me turn my screen share off. I guess I right click this thing.
I thought my camera was on.
I think it is, but I gotta get my sharing.
Nope, mine was off.
Boop, 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 boop. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I got to do the end of show thing too.
Some kind of like Rat Packy.
That's right.
It's 1:45 and
goes over.
All right. So we apologize for the streaming things. I'll see if I can figure out what nonsense that was. I noticed actually I got a pop-up that we've got a new follower on Live EDU TV. I believe you're the very first one, so thank you. Call out to Sean Dowler. Thank you, Sean. We have exactly one follower, I think. So
he was on YouTube. He defected over to Live.
Well, I mean, so there is a reason why we're kind of going through the growing pains of this, which is we want to be able to do both YouTube and Live EDU because I think there's some value in that, and so there's definitely a community that already exists that just much like Twitch TV, they exist to watch people code, and that's what we do. So we want to, if we can serve both communities, we absolutely want to do that. So let me go ahead and switch to you guys. So enough of my face. So I'm gonna put you guys.
Oh no.
All right. So final thoughts on beers. I've had my Nut Brown. It's not that exciting, but I still have 2 left. So.
Yeah, my Ballast Point Commodore American Stout. It's good. It's a little bitter, and I like bitter things, but for some reason I don't care for this one. So
a bitter stout. That's interesting.
Maybe a 3, 2.5, 2.75. I don't know. I'm waffling on this.
My Arrogant Bastard, still one of my favorites. It's an acquired taste. The first time I had it, I kind of went, oh, I don't know about that. But now it is definitely one of my favorites. Takes me back to some of my early days at ServiceNow in San Diego. And I still give it a solid 5.
Oh,
right there. This is one of my top 5 beers ever.
Awesome.
Fantastic. And I'm trying to remember if it was here that I could not remember my favorite beer of all time, and I think it was Theobroma was the one that I just had some kind of aphasia. Could not come up with the name of it. This is like chocolatey, chili type beer. Extremely expensive, like a not huge bottle is like $20, but it was delicious. Dogfish Head, I believe. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Thanks everybody. I've got my local recording that I think I'll probably swap out for what we have up on YouTube, and we'll go from there. So thank you for participating.
Thanks,
thank you, Chuck and Josh, and we will go forward from here.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.